heroes, and apparently we want to forget them.
It's just a shocking, shameful denial of the truth.
Bravest of the brave, the Gurkhas have fought for us for generations. Now thousands of them are being told your links with the UK aren't strong enough to live here.
It is a gross injustice. It's quite deliberate injustice. It is a sustained injustice.
This week, hard-earned medals handed back. A mass protest that shows a growing sense of betrayal. Dismay is turning to anger.
We cannot bear anymore. We better die.
A war hero, now a frail old man, can't understand why the country he fought for doesn't want to know him. And he's not just any war hero. Burma, 1944. A Gurkha platoon attacks a Japanese machine gun position. They're all killed except rifleman Tul Bahadur Pun, who kills 3 of the enemy and puts the rest to flight. He was awarded our greatest military honour, the VC. The citation was fulsome, to say the least. It says his outstanding courage and superb gallantry in the face of odds which meant almost certain death inspired all ranks and was beyond praise. Which makes it all the odder that when in his later years he applied to our embassy in Nepal to come here, he was officially told he did not have strong enough ties to the UK to be considered.
Now, you and I might find that truly staggering, that a man of such service, 11 medals, Victoria Cross, Guard of Honour at the Queen's wedding, could not show strong ties to the United Kingdom.
A dozen years after the royal marriage, Rifleman Pun heard of a royal visit and trekked 130 miles over 3 days to see the Queen. She met him and some other VCs. Mr. Pun said it was his proudest moment. In his later years, he was badly ill. Heart problems, diabetes, high blood pressure, failing sight. There was no cure in Nepal, he said. All he wanted from Britain, the country for whom he almost sacrificed his life, was a little medical help. But the UK said no. And because he'd lose his pension if he didn't personally collect it, he had to be carried to town each month in a wicker chair. A journey of more than a day. Mr. Pun is far from being the only one, as we've discovered. But perhaps this is the starting point. Here in Whitehall are those famous lines about the Gurkhas. The bravest of the brave, most generous of the generous. Never had a country more faithful friends than you. They fought in virtually every war and conflict involving the British in the last 200 years. The casualties go into the tens of thousands.
These are exactly the sort of people we want. They've learned skills in the army, they're disciplined, they want to be British, they're loyal, they've proved their readiness to sacrifice their very lives for Britain. Most of them are deprived of their families for a large chunk of the time that they're here. Of course, the Brits want them to stay.
This Wednesday, what many Gurkhas see as the ultimate sacrifice, handing back the medals that Britain awarded them. One even surrendering his MBE. The Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg was watching.
The medals which you have worn as a symbol of pride have now become today symbols of your anger.
The protests come only 3 weeks after the Gurkhas' importance was royally underscored. During his secret posting in Afghanistan, Prince Harry said he was bowled over by their courage.
When you know you're with the Gurkhas, I think there's no safer place to be, really. They're all armed with kukris, so if they run out of ammunition, then they just charge you with their massive swords, as the enemy call them. Spent some time with them in England on an exercise on Salisbury, and yeah, no, really, everyone is really well looked after here by the Gurkhas.
Joining the legendary brigade of Gurkhas is one of the most rigorous selection processes on earth. The first test is to carry 35 kilograms of rocks on a 5-kilometre hike in the Himalayas, and within 35 minutes. 1 minute under, you're in, 1 minute over, and it's thank you and goodbye.
They are shaken, shocked, some are in tears. But having spoken to some who were in that position last year, it generally reinforces their determination to try again and try that little bit harder in the following year.
Then exams. It's not just the fittest, but the best educated and most intelligent that the British want. This time, 28,000 apply for 238 places. Each recruit knows his chances of making the grade are more than 100 to 1 against. Those who do get through immediately swear an oath of allegiance to the British Crown. Easy to see why they're among the most feared soldiers in the world. Here in the UK, training is constant. This is Shorncliffe Barracks in Folkestone in Kent. They're also in Maidstone, and there are Gurkha communities around the south and southeast.
If there was a minute's silence for every Gurkha killed or injured during the Second World War, the country would have to stay silent for 2 weeks. That just gives you some idea of their bravery and loyalty.
Complaining is not in their nature. Many joined this demonstration in Westminster only reluctantly. Since the handover of Hong Kong in 1997, Gurkhas are allowed to live in Britain after 4 years' service, but those who joined before then are not.
We feel this is a letdown. It's not. It makes us angry if we think about this.
And then their pensions, less for those in Nepal where the cost of living is lower. And here in England they receive only a fraction of what's paid to the British troops who fought alongside them. It can be just 1/4. Their supporters say it's plain unjust. To find out the scale of the problem, we travelled 4,500 miles to the Himalayan kingdom of Nepal. Each month, hundreds of retired Gurkhas and widows walk for hours, sometimes days, to pick up their pensions in the central city of Pokhara.
We have to collect our pensions no matter what difficulties we face.
I have high blood pressure, my breathing is bad. I cannot walk properly, and that is why I'm with my wife. The pension is vital for my medication and for looking after my family.
We have to collect our pensions no matter what difficulties we face. The British exploited and neglected us. They brought our people into their army. They became rich but made us poor. Now we have lost everything for the price of just serving them.
The British exploited and neglected us. They became rich but made us poor. Now we have lost everything for the price of just serving them.
Many here see next month's appeal in London as their last hope. Human rights lawyers are bringing a landmark case challenging the UK's immigration policy. The futures of 2,000 Gurkhas depend on the result. One of them is Lance Corporal Gyanendra Rai in Kathmandu. Lance Corporal Rai was blown up at Bluff Cove in the Falklands a quarter of a century ago. He was given a medal for his bravery, and now he doesn't even have a pension. His injuries were dreadful and continue to give him pain. He is desperate to come to Britain for treatment. He still has the shrapnel that was embedded in him.
Argentinian artillery.
This could have taken my life. A British soldier was ready to donate his blood to me. Without that, I would have died. I fought in the British Army for 13 years. I was given a medal, but I'm sorry to say I could not get a pension. I'm really loyal to the Queen. If I get a chance to go to the UK, I will be happy to serve her and her country again.
The shelling at Bluff Cove was one of the most crucial exchanges in the Falklands campaign. The man in charge of treating the casualties was Surgeon Captain Rick Jolly.
Everyone that's come in here alive, despite their horrible wounds, has gone out alive.